Мгм. 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 Хорошо.
Доброго дня усім! Я рада вітати вас знову на черговому випуску «П'ятниці» Cities4Cities. Мене звати Марта Супрун, я експертка з адвокації європейської інтеграції на місцевому рівні. Мені дуже приємно, що ви вчергове доєднуєтеся до нашого короткого формату, щоб дізнатися щось корисне про міжнародну співпрацю і європейську інтеграцію на місцевому рівні. Ми організовуємо цей формат завдяки програмі Polaris «Підтримка багаторівневого врядування», в рамках якого ми впроваджуємо компонент міжнародної муніципальної співпраці. І сьогодні в нас дуже цікава тема. Поговоримо про програму URBACT, про те, як долучатися до мережі європейських міст. Україна доєдналася до цієї програми ще в грудні 23-го року. Минулого року був такий перший конкурс, на який могли подаватися українські громади. Буквально 2 тижні тому ми отримали результати відбору цього першого, в якому брали участь українські міста. І ми маємо 14 українських міст, які доєдналися до тих чи інших мереж в рамках програми URBACT. І це надзвичайно приємний результат, тому що насправді, я думаю, лише Італія мала більше залучення міст до цієї програми в цьому році. Це показує, що українські громади зацікавлені брати участь в європейських програмах, що ми шукаємо можливості для розвитку наших міст. І сьогодні для мене подвійна приємність поговорити про програму URBACT з Альдо Варгасом, який є представником контактного пункту програми URBACT у Польщі. Що цікаво, що цей контактний пункт працює на базі Польської асоціації міст, що, мені здається, є дуже гарним теж таким кейсом, адже асоціації відстоюють інтереси громад і допомагають на цьому шляху євроінтеграції і міжнародної співпраці громадам. І ми поговоримо про URBACT разом з Альдо з трошки більш практичного боку, ніж бюрократичного, тому що дуже багато є різних презентацій, програм, можливостей, які так нам дуже загально розповідають, що ці можливості є. А сьогодні ми поговоримо зовсім з іншого боку, з дуже практичного боку, як насправді ці проекти реалізовуються і в Польщі, і в Європі. І я думаю, що ми отримуємо багато корисних інсайтів. Я тільки нагадаю, що наша розмова в подальшому буде відбуватися англійською мовою, тому я заохочую вас під'єднати функцію синхронного перекладу. Для цього на нижньому робочому полі знайдіть, будь ласка, функцію переклад або interpretation. Якщо вона не відображається внизу, натисніть на more або більше, для того, щоб повною мірою зрозуміти, про що ми будемо сьогодні говорити. Так, якщо у вас виникають якісь технічні труднощі з під'єднанням перекладу, пишіть, будь ласка, у чат, наші колеги вам допоможуть. І також заохочуємо вас ставити запитання у чаті. Нам приємно з Альдо буде поспілкуватися не тільки один з одним, але й також з вами. So, Aldo, welcome. Warm welcome to our Friday with Cities4Cities. It's a great pleasure to have you here with us. And I remember my first experience of learning about URBACT. It was just the start of 2022 and not a very pleasant moment to get acquainted with any European programs, but it was my first trip abroad to the URBACT festival in Paris. And this is where we met, and this event actually impressed me a lot because it was this festive atmosphere, a lot of people doing positive changes in their cities, knowing each other, so it created this atmosphere of a family. Yeah, and even that I am... Oh, dear colleagues, please mute yourself. Actually, I had the feeling that this program is quite special, that it's something different that you have in other Interreg programs like cross-border. So maybe your first reflection to start with. So what is this URBACT program and what makes it so special?
Доброго дня to everybody here. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm very pleased to be here and very happy to share a few ideas, opinions on what URBACT is. As I've been presented, I'm the contact point for URBACT for Poland, and it's as it has been said, I'm a member, staff member of the Association of Polish Cities. Going back to your question, what is so special with URBACT? In general, to put it in very simple terms and very straight lines, URBACT is special in the sense that it's not meant to be an investment program. There are other mechanisms and instruments for investment, because that at the beginning, maybe I start with a short historical introduction. Poland entered the European Union on 2003-2004. Yeah, before that we had long years of adapting our administrative systems and mechanisms to the mechanisms of the European Union. This was a very lengthy process and very painful in many ways, because we had to adapt to a lot of new forms of functioning, etc., etc. But then, when we entered the European Union, we noticed that in general there is a big need for investment funds for a lot of things. But there is also a need for instruments that would help to develop our capacities, our knowledge, and our abilities to build up our knowledge on how what we want to do and how we want to do. Is to put it in one image. If you want to build a building, you need first to have a project. Yeah, you need to make a project and to think, what do you want in this building, how big each room, what services, etc., etc. You have to to think about it, and you have to make it in a way that it corresponds to the needs of everybody who will be living in this building. So URBACT is more or less something like this. It's about gathering first not only the information, but also the opinion of people who are going to function in this new projected reality. So it's about creating a common attitude and getting together and creating a common vision and a common statement of future actions between a lot of people. So that's generally the basic idea. And the fact you mentioned at the beginning in Paris in the festival, yes, it's very. You can notice it very easily that URBACT doesn't function like other programs. It's not a very severe and very sad way of doing projects, you know, everybody sitting with very serious faces. We act and we function much more on a cooperation and interactive way, because we come from the conclusion that it's much better to have a constructive conversation at the beginning, even if it looks like at some point it might even look like a little bit not serious, okay? Because we work on big drawings, we put little papers, we discuss. It's all about talking and discussing with each other, no matter of the administrative level on which we function. It's we put ourselves all together on the same level. Mayors of cities, directors of different departments, regular staff people, representatives of the private sector, representatives of universities, of NGOs, everybody is on an equal level. And then we discuss and we work together in order to get to one common conclusion about what we want to do in a place, okay, in a city, in a sector of activity of the city, etc. So that's the main idea, and we do in a I will use this term, in a fun way. We want to make it so that we don't fight each other, but we discuss and we make it in a very playful manner, because in this way we can achieve common ground much quicker and much more effective. We have tested that for already 20 years. Believe me, you know, we have 26 member states, cities of all possible sizes, starting by agglomerations of the size of Paris or Barcelona or Manchester, when they will still in the team, up to very, very tiny cities from all over and towns from all over Europe. Everybody on the same ground, on the same level, no matter precisely if they were mayors or staff members or private sector, universities, anybody, all together, and we come to this common ground and we discuss the options. We create a common vision and we work on specific documents and plans of activities that we want to perform. So that's the basic idea, and we want to make it playful, not serious.
Thank you. So basically, URBACT functions in the format of city networks. Yeah, so we have different types of networks in URBACT program. Who could be, you also touched upon that there could be bigger cities, smaller cities, all equal, but who in principle could participate in the URBACT network, and how in practice it actually functions?
Well, the main target for the target group for the URBACT program are cities, understood as municipalities. Yeah, in different countries in Europe, the definition of a city is different. Okay, there are big differences. I will just explain the case of Poland, because we have basically three types of cities: cities itself, city as bigger conjunctions of like Warsaw is this case, that is several communities together, and this creates one city, and city districts. If in big cities, each district or city quarter has a possibility to decide over its own policies, then it is also eligible. So it's cities themselves, bigger groupings like agglomerations or other, or also smaller parts like city districts, if they have the ability to decide on their own policies. That's the basic target of the URBACT program. But then up to some minor level, it could be institutions like development agencies, if they are being set up by the city with a majority of municipal funding money. So an agency that has been created especially for the purpose of developing the city. So this kind of agency can also be participate. Then to a small level also universities, if they are focused on urban issues, like, I don't know, whatever kind of university that deals with urban issues of any sort. And starting from not so long ago, from this round of projects that we are already running, it could be also higher levels of administration in the country if they are dealing with urban issues. In order to make them, to give them the opportunity to also somehow experiment and shape urban policies on a larger scales. So basically cities, as I mentioned in these three possible options, and to some minor level, either agencies, universities, or other levels of government.
Thank you. So let's imagine. So we have like 10 cities across Europe that decided to establish a network. Are they all equal? I mean, should there be main partners, like different kinds of partners, and what's the difference in their obligations in the program? And secondly, well, if they pick some kind of a topic, so they want to deal with climate change, but they don't have enough expertise themselves to deal with that. Is program offering anything, any kind of support to resolve these issues?
Yeah, well, so for the first question, there is no hierarchy in URBACT. The thing is that in general, for anybody who studies also history of administration knows that, or functioning of institutions, understand that decisions are much better taken when they are created together on equal terms. So in a grouping of 10 cities of all possible sizes, everybody is on equal terms. There is one city that takes the role of leader, of the lead partner for more or less administrative terms or needs. The lead partner is the one who just deals with all the issues, administrative issues in that one network. And then reports everything to the Secretariat of URBACT. That's basically it. Besides that, everybody's on equal terms because it's not about defining who is bigger or richer and who's smaller and anything. It's about exchange of experiences and knowledge and building up a common vision. Just for the sake of imagination, imagine maybe I could share here one slide just to explain that. Yes, I'll try to be short with my examples, but I'll just put this example. So this is the city of Gdańsk in Poland. Who was partner in one of the networks. A smaller kind of networks, I'm not going into details, is less than 8 partners, is the transfer of good practice by a Greek city, Greek port city. So the Greek port city, Piraeus, was lead partner of this Blue Act network, and one of the partners was Gdańsk. So you have different size of city ports that were dealing with this kind of innovative good practice in the city on how to promote the sector of IT entrepreneurship in these cities, along with the activities of the port. So each one of the partners develop in their cities the mechanism that has been invented and tested by Piraeus. So Piraeus has a good idea how to create this business around anything that is being done in the port, but in the sector of new technologies and IT. And this good idea, which is basically a kind of a competition on how to develop your own business in IT in port areas, very intelligent kind of competition. And this good idea of a competition is transferred to the other cities who start and build up this idea of how to do the same thing in their cities. Yeah? So all the other cities are just like equal partners together with Piraeus, but Piraeus is transferring the good practice, the good idea. That's maybe another one. This one, sorry for there's too much text, but putting it in a very simple terms, this is the city of Łódź in more or less central Poland, a neighborhood that is derelict, that is in very bad shape, but has invented a very good practice consisting on supporting all the inhabitants of this city district, helping them on the very long process of revitalizing the city district that is derelict. So it's not just reshaping the buildings and putting money in order to make the buildings function much better, because before they were in very bad shape. And we need this process of rebuilding, refreshing, making these buildings suitable for living. But it's also accompanying the people in the whole process. So first, for example, the people are taken to another city district for temporary houses while the buildings are being refurbished. The normal process is that when you refurbish this, then you get rid of the inhabitants, because the new buildings, it will be much more wealthy people that will live in there. But that's not what we wanted. That's not what Łódź wanted. So they not only accompany these people to resettle for a period of more or less 2 years in other buildings. In the meantime, the buildings have been reshaped, but in this time, the city helps these relocated inhabitants to find new jobs, change their habits in different ways, start new businesses, regain the capacity and the capability to function in the society as a full citizens. After the refurbishing of the buildings, the inhabitants are being moved back to these places, okay, to this refurbished housing, and they start to function in a completely new way, much better. Lots of them started some businesses, many found new jobs. So it was a full process of urban regeneration and city revitalization. And it required a lot of mechanisms to make it. For example, the introduction of a person that is the lighthouse guide, so to say, the person who accompanies all the inhabitants through all the process and supports them in finding new jobs, inventing new activities, maybe founding a business, etc. So this whole process requires a lot of knowledge, a lot of participation, a lot of cooperation with inhabitants. And that was the basic good idea, the good practice of the city of Łódź. And in this case, the city of Łódź transferred this good practice to other cities in Europe. So Łódź was the leader of transfer for this good idea, so of this good urban practice. And what you see here in the screen, this tree on the left side with the QR codes, these are the types of activities that were done with the inhabitants in order to develop their different kind of skills. The comics on the top were a way of telling the story of this process in order to make it clear and understandable not only for the inhabitants, but also for the rest of the city to understand what's this process all about. Yeah.
Thank you. And maybe just to clarify, because you are telling a lot about transfer of knowledge between cities. But at the same time, you see that very practical work is done locally, yes, involving citizens, like reshaping the neighborhoods of cities. So how does this process of transfer of knowledge, of expertise takes place, and how it finally lands in the local context? So what is more important in this process?
Yeah. Well, I was mentioning transfer because we are just now starting one of these series of networks which consist on transfer of good practices. That's just one of our types. In general, the basic idea, maybe I'll show again a slide. The basic idea on how a city functions with URBACT is as follows. Every city, let's assume that we start a network of 8 to 10 cities, 8 to 10 European cities. They start a network, let's say a type of network. They don't have a good practice to transfer, but it's just they create an idea. I mean, they invent or find an idea of what they want to do, depending on what are their needs. It could be anything like mobility in the city, urban regeneration, I don't know, greenery in the city, managing waste or wastewater, anything. Any topic that is kind of a problematic issue for the city. You create a network of 8 to 10 cities, and when a city enters a network, the network is approved by the Secretariat after this all competition, and a city enters and starts this functioning in this network of 8 to 10 cities. First thing they need to do is create this local URBACT group. This is very important, and this is a basic thing, the creation of a local URBACT group, meaning the city that is partner. Let's say a Ukrainian city is partner of this network of 8 to 10 cities. The city creates this local URBACT group. To the URBACT local group, you are obliged to invite representatives of different departments of the municipality. And this is very important. You need to invite different representatives of different departments of the city. Why? In general, because we know very well from the functioning of municipalities, as well as in the private sector, we see the same situation, that the big institutions function in departments, in silos, okay? And there is often a problem, very often, we find it in many cities, especially if they are big, but also in smaller ones, that the departments have difficulties with communicating with each other. There is a weak transfer information or not transfer information at all on very important issues. Let's say communication, transport. The transport doesn't communicate very well with, I don't know, the Department of Greenery, of the Department of Water. And this creates a lot of problems because I have thousands of examples of this situation. So when you create this local URBACT group, you need to invite these different departments to cooperate in this local URBACT group. But that's not the end. You also need to invite, for example, the private sector, who is also has some possible influence or is concerned by this problem. For example, in transport, it would be, I don't know, if somebody has a private parking or I don't know, whoever who is in the private sector in the sector of transport, he needs to be invited there too. And also you invite NGOs, non-government organizations, that also have something to say on these transport issues. You could also invite local universities that have the knowledge. You could also invite representatives of the inhabitants of the city. You need to create this local urban group with all these partners together. And this is very important. This is the basic thing, the basic feature of URBACT projects in a city. When you invite all of them, it might occur that, for example, I don't know, the departments don't like each other, okay? The city as a whole don't like the private sector. The private sector doesn't like the university, and the university doesn't like the NGOs. Histories that we have seen, I mean, examples that we have seen everywhere in many cases. The thing is that when we sit together, of course, there might be some exchanges of different kind, but at some point, when we work together, when we exchange our opinions, at some point we come to some common conclusions. I have seen that so many times that I have been a witness of situations where institutions that normally fight each other, in this point they start to cooperate. Okay.
Just
Yes.
based on your experience, what's the optimal size of this local action group, not to turn this into a fair?
Yes,
Because if you have too
you're
many
right.
people with so different opinions.
Absolutely right. Yes. Well, there's of course there's no perfect size for it, but in general, it's better if we maintain a group of this kind up to a level of about 20 people. Okay. The optimal would be, but that's my absolutely private opinion, basing on anthropological observations I've been doing for a long time, is about 14 is the best option in general, because it's much more effective. But when you create this local URBACT group, it doesn't mean that you need to create just one URBACT local group. In some cases, I have seen, and this occurred to be quite optimal, that for different aspects of this problem, you create separate local URBACT groups working on a specific issue of this main problem. If it's using this example of transport, let's say that you will have one local group dealing with just transportation, means of transportation, buses, tramways, bicycles, whatever. Another would be the local population, how they, representatives of different parts of the city that will be concerned with this problem. Another would be, for example, those who have parking lots, either public or private. So in their groupings, in their local group, they will be discussing, and from time to time, representatives of this group gather in this general local group. The way you create your URBACT local group is a matter of decision of the city that participates. The thing is that it's effective when the groups are not too big, about 20, as I said before, in order to make it more effective just to work. Yes, that's one thing. So that's the basic thing. You create a local URBACT group or groups that work with the problem, where everybody is on equal terms discussing on different issues, developing some solutions. So that's the basic thing. Then just to close this with this slide explaining what is also part of the URBACT process of creating this, of participating in these networks. Participating in an URBACT gives you also a better image on a larger scale. People start to notice, this city participates in an URBACT project. So maybe next time I will contact them in order to have them on board in another project with another topic, because they already function on this European project. So this is a good way of participating. It's also a good way to publicize and produce a good marketing of your activities in the city itself. It's of course, it's a double-bladed sword, because you need to take care. If you start an URBACT project, be sure that you deliver, that you end up with something that is tangible and people notice it, even if it's something small. Okay? Don't use URBACT as a way to make a smoke curtain or smoking mirror, just to say, we are doing something, but on the backstage you are doing anyway what you wanted to do earlier, and you are using it just to show off and publicize. It might happen, and it doesn't help the city at all. On the contrary, it harms the city. So be careful on using this as a way to really cooperate and co-create solutions with all the partners from all different sectors, public, private, NGOs, etc., etc. Then, of course, one of the main goals that you can see in this 2.5 years process, mostly because there are some networks that are just 2 years long, is the integrated action plan. It's a generic term that is used just to name the document you are working on together. It can be a strategy, it can be a plan of any sort that the city needs to produce. Okay, you need to produce, for example, the strategy of transport, or strategy of sustainable urban mobility plans, we call them in Europe. Which is a plan not only for transport like buses and trams, but also cars, taxis, bikes, whatever other, and also walking lanes and parking plots, everything. This is the Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan. So you can do this kind of documents using URBACT as a way to build this plan with the voices and with the active engagement of all these other actors, participants. It's not always very easy. I'm very much aware of that. I've seen situations where it was a kind of a problem to come together to some terms. But as a general rule, I've seen that this integration plan ends up being a common decision and common voice of everybody on board in this URBACT local group. And the effect of it, if you lead the process in a good way, the effect of it is a plan that is really practical and useful for everybody, not only for the municipality, but also for the private sector, the other public institutions, the NGOs, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the common perception here in Ukraine, I think, like, at least it's my opinion, that it's good that you have the plan or a strategy, but what about implementation? You need to have funds to implement, you need to have resources, you need to have people after that. So what could be the next steps after the city has the plan?
Well, there's no one answer for that. Okay, and this is not a problem solely of Ukrainian cities by far. It's a problem of everybody, of every city in the whole of Europe. Okay. There are very different situations in different countries, and that's also one thing that I've learned. I started to learn working with URBACT, that, for example, you have cities in Germany. They don't participate very often in URBACT projects for a very simple reason. They have their national programs and they have a lot of funds, so they don't need to participate in this kind of project in order to do their to build up their policies. Although they still participate because they want to have bigger knowledge and share experience, etc., etc. There are a lot of, you mentioned at the beginning, of Italian and Portuguese and Spanish cities. They are always the record number participants in URBACT, twice as many as in Poland, for instance. And they don't do it for the money by far. because, as we said before, URBACT is not about investment. It's about creating, shaping a solution for now or for the future. What's next? Well, when you start, there's one observation I've seen. When you start to cooperate at the local level, when you invite all the local stakeholders, meaning the different departments of the city, the private sector, the universities, the NGOs, etc., and you work together for a longer time, like the 2.5 years, you start to notice that in fact, if you think together you have much more power and money than alone. Yes, you sum up different kinds of funds, but you will notice it just in the moment when you really start to work together. Okay, it happens that these representatives of private sector or of the municipality, they have this amount of money, but there's another part of the city that has that amount of money, another that amount of money. The private sector has this amount of money. NGOs have some small money for something. When you put them together, it builds up an image, a potential financial capacity that could help to solve the problem. That's one. And this is very important because you don't see it, and you don't calculate it until you start to work together. I've seen it so many times that in some situation I was astonished. Oh, when you sum up all your money together, you put it in one picture together, then really this starts to make sense, yes? And it starts to be feasible and technically possible to achieve. This, of course, requires cooperation, and it requires trust. I know this is not an easy thing. I've seen it so many times. It's very difficult to gain trust, especially in places where you have the contact between the public and the private sector. In the public sector, different institutions. The private sector, different companies, etc., etc. This is very difficult, but building up together a consensus and working together helps building trust and cooperation. And the positive part of it is that since URBACT, as we said already many times, is not an investment program, yes, it's a building up, a solution creating program. The activities under URBACT don't require a lot of investments or no investment whatsoever by the stakeholders in the local group. Yes. So at the beginning, you start with small things, with either small amounts or small in-kind input, which is not risky, okay? You are not investing as a private stakeholder in a municipal project. You're not investing millions. You're just putting a little bit, and you see how it functions together. It's like, sewing, I don't know, a kind of tissue together. With small things, you start, and then you start to build trust. And I've seen this in so many cases that it functions well. Of course, I've also seen situations when it doesn't function. This is also a lesson, yeah?
I think
yes.
We here in Ukraine have a good example of supporting the army in the bid. So we have to think how to transfer our trust in the society into creating some good things for the cities. I would like to ask you to come back to your slide, Aldo, if you could, because I see that you also plan to talk about what program actually offers as a financial contribution. I mean, this is not investment, but still there are some money available. So what?
Yes. What I can say, since I'm the contact point for Poland, I'm not the secretariat, okay? So I don't know exactly what are the rules. You can ask either the secretariat or also the other, the Ukrainian cities that are starting this year to participate in URBACT networks. How does it function in economical terms? But in general, this I've put here this amount of 750,000 euros. This is the budget for the whole network, for the 8 to 10 partners in a network for a period of 2.5 years. So you need to split that between 8 to 10 partners. Let's say 1/10 of it, so it's about 70 because the lead partner needs a little bit more money for administrative things. So let's say more or less 70,000 euros for one city for a period of 2.5 years. Of which normally, I mean, this is in Poland. I don't know how it would function with Ukraine, more or less. 80% are costs that are refundable, and 20 are your own contribution. Okay, so from the 100%, 80% is what is being refunded. So first you need to spend all the 100%, and then you are being devolved the 80% of this cost, and 20% is your input, your contribution. In every case I haven't seen any other solution. It's in general a part of the salaries of representatives of the municipality. So you put a part of the time work of the representatives of the city as your contribution to the total budget, to your total budget. That's the basic model. But as I said, I'm not the secretariat. I don't know the exact rules and ways of functioning of it. You need to ask the secretariat, also the ministry, and eventually the other Ukrainian cities to have more details on that.
We have in our chat the response from one of our participants that for Ukraine is 25% is covered by URBACT and only 5% the contribution. So it's even better conditions. But I mean, what exactly? So is it salaries, travels to exchange experience, events, whatsoever?
Again, the budget, this, let's say, more or less 70,000 euros, more or less, of course, is most of it anyway goes for the so-called exchange costs, which is either inviting other partners to our city or going to the other partner cities to the so-called transnational meetings. In each network of 8 to 10 cities, you have twice a year, I mean 2 times each year, you have one meeting of all the participants of all of these 8 to 10 cities in one of the cities of the network. Of course, it may happen that some cities are never being visited because 8 or 10 cities divided in 2.5 years. There is no possibility that everybody is a host of a transnational meeting, of course. Anyway, but this the main line of the budget is precisely this exchange of knowledge, costs related to visiting each other. Okay. A smaller part of it is on creating this local URBACT group and working together. And this is not big money, meaning organizing a conference or a meeting room, some small catering for the meeting, some small things that would be needed for these meetings. And that's it. Then there's a small amount, a small extra amount for the so-called testing actions. You are working, let's say you have started, you are already 1 year on in the project, all the cities in the network are already having their ideas and creating solutions. At some point you want to see if you are going in the right direction. So you do a small scale testing, whatever. It's, I don't know, depending on the topic of the network, it could be
Planting trees, right?
Planting trees, yeah, or creating a big writing somewhere in the city that this and there will happen in this moment, or organizing a meeting, or introducing a very simple mechanism for something. The thing is that this testing action needs to be not only a part of the solution, but also a practical thing, okay? So you mentioned the planting trees. It might have, thank you for mentioning it, because it can be that planting trees is just, you know, a showing off of the actions. I try to be very specific on this. If the planting of the trees is part of a program of regreening an area, or refurbishing or regenerating an area that was, for example, spoiled by heavy industry, whatever, and it's a way to recreate a healthy ground, then this is a possible testing action, okay? In general, the testing action needs to be practical, okay, for the city.
Thank you. And we also have several questions in the chat, and I invite everyone also to continue putting
Yeah, how to
questions
register
there.
on how to register to the platform.
No, I
Well,
want to come back to another question, because this is the question that also I wanted to ask you, because of
Yes.
course Ukraine is a newcomer to the program, and it's of course in theory it looks very interesting to be part of a network of 8 to 10 cities, but how can you meet these cities and know exactly that they are working on the topic that is of interest for you? And also we have the question like about the agencies for regional development. So how they could join? Is it some other procedure than the city administrations or not?
Okay, so I start by the second question.
Yeah.
Agencies, no. Every partner in a network has exactly the same procedure. You apply, and if you become a partner, you are treated on equal terms, okay? On equal terms as all the other partners. The thing is that, of course, in the process of selecting the partners of a network, yes, the process is mostly done by the lead partner city. The lead partner city needs to adjust the number of participants and the type of participants according to the general rules of URBACT. So you choose 9 other cities. Let's say it's a network of 10 cities, a possible network of 10 cities, and the lead partner is the one who is doing the process of gathering them together. It's always about a balance, okay? It's a geographical balance. For instance, you need to have cities from the north, the south, east, and west of Europe. On another weighting balance, it's about cities from more developed regions, medium developed regions, or poorer regions in Europe. But geographical balance, economical balance, eventually also size balance, not always, but in some cases, yes. And then also in the case of agencies, well, agencies are almost, no, it's always in a network of 10 partners, 1 or 2 of them could be agencies, not 5 of them, okay? It's a smaller portion of agencies or universities or these other governments in order to make things more accessible, because the target group of the URBACT programs are mainly cities, yes? As they, oops.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very urgent question for Ukraine, because so far in Ukraine, I think it would be agencies who would more gladly to participate in this program because of the salaries of the local staff, because it's not always easy to pay the salary from the project to the public servant working in local governance, while the agency actually gives some flexibility.
Yes. In a way, it doesn't really matter, okay? It doesn't really matter in the sense, and let me be clear on that, because this budgetary aspect, which you mentioned now, as I said before, as we said before, URBACT is not about investing. Okay, so if the agencies are more a practical solution for a city, understood in a wider sense, to participate in URBACT project, in an URBACT project, an agency, if in the case of Ukraine, we much more practical and easy to rule, then it's okay. The idea is just to create this local URBACT group. That's the important part. And also to have this possibility to twice a year visit. And if it's the case of an agency, my small suggestion is not that just the representative of the agency goes there and visit these other cities. And one thing I need to say, because this has been a very heavy topic for many years in Poland, up to some point it still is, it's that the idea of traveling to these other cities was considered in the cities of Poland, especially in the first 10 years of our participation in the European Union, was sometimes considered as a kind of a privilege or a kind of tourism sponsored by the European Union. So, and then you have in the city, between different departments or between the city and others, these guys are going to this other city to visit and we are not going. It's completely not like this, okay? Just forget it. It's not like this. You travel for 2, maximum 3 days, counting, many hours in one direction, many other hours in the other direction, and you stick in one place with all these other people from these other cities for 2 days, working extensively and very hardly on solving problems, and you have just maybe 2 hours to see, have a general vision of what happens in this city during the study visits, and that's all. So it's not about tourism because you need to go back straight away to your place, to your city. The thing is that whatever you see, you visit, or you invite the other cities to your place, this time is a precious time to exchange very strongly experiences, knowledge, information, checking each other. What are you doing? What idea I can catch from your city, which I could borrow and implement in my city, etc., etc. That's one thing. The other thing is that you need to have a decent level of English, of communication skills in English. That's not easy, but in all of our networks, I've seen them, tens of or even hundreds of these networks. I've seen people from all over Europe, from different municipalities. They are not speaking in, like Shakespeare English at all, but they are able to communicate. It's the level that is needed is a communication level, that you can say what you want to say and that you understand what other people from Portugal, Italy, France, Sweden, Poland, Romania, what they have to say. That's the needed level of understanding. Yeah.
Thank you. And now about building the partnership. I'm sorry to put
the partnership. Yes. That was the first question.
I want to ask you more and more.
Please ask me as much as you want. Building the partnership. Well, there's one thing. URBACT has opens its call for projects once a year. Okay, there's one call per year. And let me show you again. It doesn't want to pass to the other one. Let me see if this one here. Each year we have one call for one type of networks. Here we have the 3 types of networks that exist in URBACT. The first one is the action planning networks. The second one is the transfer networks. And the third one is the innovation transfer networks. 3 different types of networks. I mean, different in the sense, what is the source, the origin of the idea for a network. The action planning networks is a group of a network, a group of cities that decide that they want to work on a specific kind of topic. Let's say we want to work on transport or mobility topics. Or we want to work on water management in the city, or we want to work on greenery in the city, whatever topic. We decide that we want to work on this topic, so that these are the action planning networks. The transfer networks, the second one, are the transfer networks where we have already, in URBACT, we have already a list. Now it's 116 good practices, urban good practices, selected in a process that took almost 1 year. A process of selecting good practice from all over Europe. I mean, solutions that have been invented by cities that didn't require millions of euros, but were ideas and solutions developed by the cities themselves on their own budgets, mostly, practically all of them. Small actions that occur to be like very practical, okay? And they have applied and they have been selected, and so there we have these 116 good practices from all over Europe. You can just and these transfer networks are just to transfer this good practice to other cities in Europe. The third one, innovation transfer networks, are a little bit more complicated. It's very similar to these transfer networks, but it is based on the innovation solutions developed in another European program, namely the European Urban Initiative Program. European Urban Initiative Program. By the way, this other program, European Urban Initiative, is also a European program, but it has a different structure. Well, it's a different program with a different ways of working, different topics, etc., etc. But they develop solutions that part of these solutions can be transferred, not the investment part, because these other projects are much bigger in money. In Poland, we have just 2 projects of them, and the program is running already like, I don't know, 10 years, and we have just 2 projects. Very difficult to get there, but part of these solutions developing this other program, in a project of this other program, can be transferred. So we try to transfer some part of the solution of these bigger projects into URBACT through this innovation transfer network.
So I understand that in the case of the second and third, you need to know who has the good practice,
yes,
and then
exactly.
Join this consortium. But
Exactly.
I guess
but
that
in all of 3, sorry to interrupt you, just to because I know exactly what you try to make me tell, and that's what I'm trying to. In any way, in the action planning networks, transfer networks, or innovation transfer networks, the process is that when the call starts, when there is, the URBACT Secretariat starts a call for either an action planning network or a transfer network or an innovation transfer network, it starts in a precise moment of the year. It's mostly at the very beginning of the year. The next call that is going to open is in March of next year, probably on the 1st of March. And it will be a call for precisely this one, the red circled one, squared one, the action planning networks, meaning whatever topic you think is important or relevant for your city, a problem you have defined in your city, you want to start a network, that's the option in the next year's call, which starts in March. And the thing is that more or less on the 1st of March, on the URBACT website, urbact.eu, you have an information. We start the call for action planning networks. There's always, as part of the process, there's always a way of getting in contact with potential partners from all over Europe. This is a platform. We have a kind of a platform where you select, you don't select, you just check if any city in Europe has formulated an idea for a project. There are cities that start with good ideas and they put them in this platform. And and you can just check the ideas and see, this idea is good for me. We need to go in it because I want to solve a problem in this direction, in this area of problem. So I want to apply so I contact the city that posted this idea and tell them, listen, I am a city of this size and that size. I'm from Ukraine. I would like to join the network, etc., etc. There's all and the process starts. Of course, in each of these kind of groups, each idea that is posted, a lot of cities apply and contact the city that has developed an idea, and they contact them in order to tell them, listen, I would like to join your network. But then the list of these potential partners tends to be quite large, much more than 10 cities. Depending on the network, on the topic or the idea, it could be like, I don't know, 20, 30 cities that would like to join the network. So then there's the process that this city that posted the idea starts to check with each of the cities and check the motivation of the city to participate in this network. Why do you want to apply? What are your achievements so far? What are your ideas? What could be your contribution to the network, etc., etc. Just to know who's applying and who are we thinking of taking on board for this network. Okay, and then of course all these categories, size of the city, geographical distribution in Europe, wealthy or poorness of the city, whatever, all these other formal criteria. So there are cities that post this kind of ideas, and most of the other cities just look for these project ideas in this platform for communication. So that's basically it. But then there are also networks that don't even, there are cities that have already some experience. They don't even post their ideas on this platform. And then they don't even look for partners because they have been already around for so many years that they know already partners with whom they would like to participate. And eventually they would like to have somebody from one country or another. Eventually, maybe somebody wants somebody from Ukraine. So mostly in these kind of cases, they contact directly the national URBACT point. And they tell them, listen, I would like to have a city from your country or more or less this size with more or less this situation. Could you please find me somebody? And me as a contact point, because I have had this kind of situation, I say, okay, I scratch my head. I say, yes, you need a city of this size, more or less this wealthy or poor, whatever, with this kind of problems. Okay, I have a list because that's my role. I know more or less Polish cities, the sizes, situation, etc., etc. So I say, okay, let me contact that city if they are interested in this project. So I contact the city and I try to put them in contact together, if this works.
That's actually what we also experience in Cities4Cities, because for the last call we helped also Perugia to find a partner in Ukraine for the project.
Yes.
But Aldo, I feel that we might have this conversation half of the day, and I am sure that we would still have what to discuss, but unfortunately our time is running out a bit, and I just wanted first of all to motivate Ukrainian municipalities to actively apply, and maybe also to establish partnerships with Polish cities who plan to apply for the next call. Just for the wrap up of today's very interesting discussion, Aldo, I would ask you the final question. Based on your experience of URBACT in Poland, what could be your 3 main recommendations for Ukrainian cities that plan to join URBACT? Not very practical, rather motivational, but what would you advise?
First, yes, it will be to see what is happening on the urban level in Europe. Okay, so see more or less what are the urban policies at the European level. It's good to, for example, to check for example, the urban agenda for the EU. Okay. Because this gives you a picture of what are the more or less important topics that are being spoken about at the European level. That's one, just to get acquainted with it. It's, to have a perspective, yes? That's one. Another one, to think about participating in URBACT, not in terms of this is my last chance to survive or whatever, maybe even if it is, but rather to use it as a tool for the development of your urban policies at the local level. Okay, one of the many possible, because there are many possibilities, especially, I mean, of course, I'm talking here from the position of cities in Poland. We are members of the European Union, so we have a lot of possibilities. And that's also a kind of, let's say, maybe not weakness, but in general, I needed to promote a lot URBACT here in Poland, because most of the cities are much more interested in these big investment monies. They don't really care about an URBACT project which is small and it's not investment. But then the cities that enter, this precisely, as I said, they use it as a way for developing their urban policies in a much more concise way, much more integrated, and much more thought beforehand, before you start investing, okay? It's about first thinking, planning, and deciding, and then putting your real money, if you find one, in the longer term. But by the way, you can also find a way of financing your activities. And the third recommendation, well, I would think of the fact that there's something that is running in my head all the time. The thing is that Ukrainian cities are in a specific moment. I don't know the situation, of course. But I know that now the whole of your country is under a very big shake, it's a very difficult situation. And you are forced to solve your problems in a different way. You need to get out of your normal box of activities. I'm pretty sure that you have developed some kind of transitional ways of solving some kind of situations related to security, safety, and all the rest. These kind of initiatives and activities are they're very valuable. Some of European cities, many European countries would like to know more about that. So you have something to give. If you check inside of your cities, you probably have some interesting solutions which we would like to get acquainted with to learn more. So try to reach other cities, try to contact contact points from your contact point in Ukraine, and to start some kind of relation with European cities in order to get, in the group or in the, general circle of cities that participate in URBACT precisely, and European projects in a broader sense.
Thank you, Aldo, for this very interesting and inspiring conversation today. I will now switch to Ukrainian for the final wrap-up. Дякую всім, хто залишається з нами, хто слідкує за подіями П'ятниці, Cities4Cities, за іншими нашими навчальними програмами і активностями. Бажаємо вам подаватися на URBACT, розвивати партнерства з європейськими містами, ставати сильнішими. І бажаємо вам мирного і спокійного дня сьогодні. До зустрічі під час нових зустрічей разом Cities4Cities. Дякую дуже за увагу, і особливо Альдо. Майте гарний і спокійний день сьогодні. До побачення.
Дякую. Thank you very much. Bye bye.